Hey, I'm djWHEAT, huge fan of The Walking Dead, and so honored to be here with one of the creators, Robert Kirkman and Elmir from Overkill. And we're getting to talk a little bit about this new game that has just been announced, and a little bit about the characters, and of course, the Walking Dead universe and how that is applicable to the game. Because the Walking Dead universe has taken, obviously, form in comic book, and we've seen it go to television and some gaming.
Yep.
But we've never gotten to see it in an FPS, which...
Right, and we've never done anything as big as what we're doing with Overkill, so I think that's really exciting. But yeah, I mean, doing something that's actually like co-op and as huge as this game that you guys are doing, and I think we're going to break new ground with The Walking Dead and do some really cool things. So I'm really excited and happy to be here talking about it.
Let's just get this out of the way, because The Walking Dead, which is a franchise that has a lot of action. There's gunplay. There is taking care of walkers in a sort of close quarters situations.
Yeah.
And we've had strategy games. We've had other strategy games. We've had some decision making, storytelling games, which are all great, but. Again, like, what is taking so long? We're finally getting an FPS in the Walking Dead universe. This is what we needed.
Yeah, we should have done a puzzle game. I don't know what I was thinking. But no, I mean, when we started doing Walking Dead video games, I thought that first-person shooter stuff it's such a crowded marketplace, and there's so much cool zombie stuff in it. I was initially very reluctant to go in that area with Walking Dead, because I wanted to make sure that when we did it, it was really going to blow doors off. It was really going to break new ground, and it was going to be something that could, stand head and shoulders above the things around it and really be something special. And so it wasn't until talking to Overkill and developing this game that I thought that we could actually do it.
So, of course, Overkill, creators of Payday 2. I mean, what did you first think when you first heard that Overkill was... they want to do a game based off of The Walking Dead?
Oh, I mean, excited. I mean, Payday is such a great game and has a lot of... Thank you. No, I mean, I was paid to say that. But no, I mean, and there's so many, cool aspects to the co-op of that game that I knew that there was somebody that could, really do The Walking Dead justice and do some cool things.
And I think we felt the same way, when we sat down and talked back in the day. Like, the same way you felt about Payday, we felt about the Walking Dead universe, because we were so focused on making co-op games, and trying to push that genre, to its maximum limit and breaking new ground. So sitting down with you and discussing your universe, and the Walking Dead universe, and seeing what kind of co-op experience we could create in that. Because, I mean, it fits so perfect, right?
I remember those first conversations because they were so recent.
To your point, I mean, we have been working such a long time on getting this game right, and we are so excited to get it out the door next year.
And I'm glad that we're not trying to avoid that subject, because I do get a lot of, people are very excited about this game. I hear about this game constantly. I'm very happy with the fact that, you guys are bleeding for this game. You guys are working on this game constantly. You guys are making sure this game launches as great as it can be. And you're not just rushing something out. There's no effort to just make a date. We're not making a date here. We're making a great game.
This seems like a perfect opportunity, because I guarantee you, Twitch chat is probably saying wait a second. What does Robert Kirkman know about FPS games, right? Is he qualified? Yes, he can build these worlds, he can tell these stories, he can kill my favorite characters off, but can he? So just for their sake, I hear that you do play some FPSs in the
I play a lot of Destiny.
Okay.
I play a lot of Destiny. I play a lot of Destiny 2. You
are qualified.
Oh yeah, I mean, I play a lot of Halo back in the day. I love first-person shooters. I mean, look, I was playing Wolfenstein when it first came out. Played all the way through Doom. I mean, I love first-person shooters. I'm not an expert by any means, but
I think that makes you an expert, actually. I mean, everyone else on the internet says they're an expert, after playing those.
Well,
so
then,
I'm definitely.
I could pass a class on first-person shooters. I am a bona fide expert then.
I want to just really quickly go to the co-op, because I feel the same way. When you think about even some of the mechanics that Payday brought to the table in terms of cooperative playing, it seems like a Walking Dead game needs that, right? A lot of the universe is based off of there's not really a sole survivor, despite the fact that I'm like looking at this current issue with Negan on the front by himself. But
he's cooking.
It's been
that's the issue. Where
he's
Negan
trying
cooks.
to sole survive. It has been the foundation of communities. And as these communities are founded or these groups are founded, right, what are the different types of archetypes? What are the personalities that clash? And what does that bring to the table outside of the immediate threat of, obviously, that we're dealing with the zombies? So that seems like a perfect marriage in terms of, like, if you're going to make a Walking Dead FPS game, you better be doing it with other people, because that's kind of the basis of the universe and how people are surviving.
Yeah, I mean, everything in The Walking Dead is about whether or not you can cooperate, how well you cooperate, and that's how you survive. So it's been inherent in the story from minute one. So it is a very natural transition to that kind of storytelling and that kind of gameplay.
Yeah, and I think the whole idea of the co-op genre is the players being able to create their own user stories kind of between themselves. So even if they play the same characters over and over again, or the same map over and over again, or whatever, because the replayability is so important in these types of games, the relationships they get through their characters, but also between themselves. And in this setting, in a post-apocalyptic setting, where resources are scarce and everyone's trying to kill you, it creates a completely different creates a completely different relationship between the players, right? Because they're playing together against the environment rather than playing individually in a single-player experience or what have you. Yeah.
Well, I want to ask, both of you. What do you think that being an FPS and having co-op elements, like, how do you think that is going to translate the Walking Dead universe overall? Right. I mean, yes, we've killed zombies in FPS before, but it is about the atmosphere of the relationship, and then obviously the constant threats you're dealing with. But how do you think that will translate?
Well, I think it's about making the story personable or personal. It's a very personal journey. I think that when you read the Walking Dead comic, or you watch the Walking Dead show, or when you play the Telltale game, you're thinking, like, how would I react in this situation? What would I have done differently? I mean, these are the things that put the viewer and the reader in the story and make it more compelling for them. But when you're looking at this as a first-person shooter, your point of view is, outside of that character. You are literally living these experiences in a way that we haven't really allowed fans to do in the Walking Dead universe. So I think that's going to be really cool.
Yeah, and like the marriage between the narrative and the action that you'll get in the game, because the game, not only will you have these hugely intense fights, when you and your crew are like, oh my God, is everyone fine? There's walkers coming out of here, walkers coming out of there, and so on. And then you're going to have these moments where...
Are we spoiling that there's a shit ton of walkers in this game?
There's going to be a ton of walkers.
I didn't know if we were allowed to talk about that.
Spoiler alert.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah,
okay.
This particular thing we can talk about. Walkers, there's going to be a ton of them.
Good.
So,
and they look so good.
They do look really good. And also you're going to have the stealth part of the game, right? Where you walk around close combat trying to get one specific walker out so that walker doesn't attract the attention of others and so on. So the cool thing about The Walking Dead and the history of games that we made in the past is that the type of gameplay we do with the stealth part and the action part, it's such a perfect marriage with the kind of universe you have created that where you never know if you're safe or not, right? Because that's the whole idea of The Walking Dead, right? You always have to be on your guard, and that's the kind of feeling we want to build on in the game.
Yeah, I mean, giving players that feeling and putting them at the center of this world is one of the things that excites me the most about this game.
Yeah, and putting it in the, like, we've always taken pride in trying to make as mature of an experience that we can. And of course, with Payday, we've joked around a bit and so on. But at its core, it's a very serious experience, right? And this is, of course, something that we want to build on into the Walking Dead game we're doing. Yeah. It's a very serious world, with serious decisions happening, people, dying and stuff like this. And that's something that we really want to make the players feel that they're a part of. Yeah.
Well, let's I guess pull back the curtain a little bit, because we got to see the Aden trailer, and we know at least some ideas about location that we're talking about, and I think those are both two good topics. Let's talk about this character. I guess to recap, like, tell us a little bit about what we know now from this trailer.
Yeah, so we've just released the Aden trailer. So Aden is one of the 4 playable characters that will be available in the game come launch. And He's definitely something else. He's an architect, or used to be anyway, and now
he's not doing a lot of architecting now.
And now he's something else, right?
That's in an expansion though, where he's going to just be building buildings.
Exactly. He's going to be an architect of post-apocalyptic. What do you say? A new Renaissance age of architecture.
It could happen. We'll need those skills eventually.
But he's like the perfect representation of someone who had a normal life, normal job, normal everyday things he had to care about, stuff that he was worried about and so on, and that, everything just turns upside down really in the matter of days, right?
Yeah.
So
as happens in the Walking Dead universe,
just so, and
things go poorly.
And in the trailer, we announce or reveal that it's in Washington D.C. and unlike now, the dead seem to be governing the living. So it's definitely a new playing ground and a new playing field for the people that still live in that area. So I think with the setting and especially where the comics come from, I think it's a stage set with awesome opportunities for some really cool action, for some really cool story developments as well, and just a great time in the Walking Dead universe, really.
Yeah, and I mean, Robert, that might be a good place to jump in because we've had stories kind of out of DC. There's been characters from the comic book universe that have talked about DC. There's a lot of things happening in that general area. We've also explored a little bit like on the West Coast, but talk to me about this area and specifically about like DC, how that would be in the Walking Dead universe.
The comic book right now is set and the show like right outside of Washington DC, and we've seen in the comic Washington DC in shambles. We've seen the empty streets. We've seen some destruction here and there, but there is we haven't really gotten into the story of what happened there or anything that really took place to get it to that point.
Right.
And so, we're actually going to get to see, some of that stuff. Get to see more of Washington and get to see things in a much earlier time period than what we're exploring right now in the comics.
I mean, as early as sort of the shit is going down, right? Because the trailer is kind of representing that. It doesn't seem like it is too far after sort of the outbreak and the epidemic has now, happened.
Yeah, there's definitely a before and an after shot in the trailer. We're not super specific on exactly when it happens because we never are, right? But just the idea that everything's changed and you have to make do with what you have available around you, and for the players to be able to experience that together, I think it's going to be really cool. And like you're saying, exploring Washington D.C., what happened? Why?
Yeah. I mean,
where's the government?
It's a location that we've danced around a lot in the books, and now we're actually going to get to explore it in a much deeper way and really, see all the nooks and crannies.
Yeah.
Any particular reason? I mean, I guess one answer could be Washington D.C. makes sense because this is where I started the story, and it's kind of goes out from there. But even Payday is in Washington D.C. I imagine there's really unique buildings there and other things that make it a place that would really stand out in sort of a gaming environment as well.
Yeah.
Is there any other reasons as to why DC was the right choice?
I think it's just a particular part of the comic books and a part of the universe that for us felt like a natural fit. Like we want the game to play out here because there's so much you can build on around that area, and there are so many unanswered questions that I think people who play the game are gonna be really excited about exploring and see what they find out themselves, right?
So, as we talk about Aden, we talk about these locations, what are the important factors of creating a Walking Dead character? Is it as simple as you literally take anyone of any sort of background and then you just put them here and then you kind of try to figure out how they would react?
And you give them a favorite weapon.
Right. Yeah. Is there a science to that, or what do you two think about that?
I don't want to peel back the curtain too much and just talk about how completely easy it is. But you just think about somebody you knew in high school, and then you give them an axe, and you're good to go. But no, that's not sometimes, but not always, but sometimes. But no, I mean, the thing about Walking Dead and the thing that's most important about the characters is that they need to feel like real people. They need to have a very real backstory. They need to exhibit real emotions. These are not characters that are simply going to be running around hacking up zombies because because it's fun, or because they're really good at it, or whatever. Like, this isn't a world of people that have bravado or seeming superpowers. Like, this isn't you want people that are scared, that do feel things, and that's something that that's kind of the starting point. When you think of Aden as this architect, and we get into his backstory with his brother and his life and everything, and you really see that he's a well-rounded human being that has like all of these different aspects to him that you will learn about over the game, and that's something that we can say for every character that'll appear in this game, and that's quintessential Walking Dead character. You know,
and I think what people are going to experience as well is how interesting it is to see the characters how they behave towards each other in the game as well, like the parts where they talk to each other and so on, not only in the camp environments and so on, but also like out in the field, trying to look for loot and so on, how they interact with each other, and the difference. We won't go specifically in the other characters because that's for next year, but when we come closer to launch, but with Aden, and like you said, his relationship with his family, and how they handle the quest of trying to figure out what happened after everything went down, right?
Yeah.
Because everyone loses family, friends, whatever, right? And seeing how the characters develop throughout the game is going to be really cool, I think.
So I know that we're obviously like not able to talk about too much, but I feel like as a Walking Dead fan, I have to go here.
Let's just.
We have the survivors, and then we have sort of the general enemy, which is the walkers. They've always been around, but like traditionally in the Walking Dead, there's always been sort of a third element. Whether that was Shane, whether that was the governor, whether that is Negan or
And in this
Alpha.
game, it's pirates. It's going to be amazing.
There you go. You answered it for me. All right. You heard it here first. It's pirate.
Pirates.
Just those cool pirate swords with the metal thing over the handle. It's going to be sweet. Lots of bandanas.
Confirmed?
Confirmed, yeah. Absolutely 100% confirmed. Different pirate bands. Walking the streets of DC, creating havoc.
Looking for booty.
But you have a great point though. Like in the Walking Dead universe, it's not necessarily just about like the fight within yourself, like trying to survive, but also the fight against the environment with the walkers walking about. But also, what people tend to forget is that there's actually other people, right? And they might not be that nice to you.
Yeah, I mean, when it gets down to it, people in general are kind of terrible.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever driven. Anywhere?
Ever? In LA before. It's the worst.
Lordy.
It is the worst. This is where all the inspiration comes from. LA traffic.
That's true. Yeah.
We discovered it.
Yeah.
So it's, it's commuters, basically, in this game. It's just a whole group of commuters.
It's that's the game. Just an A to B. Yeah. That's it.
So, there's this great move where this guy.
Why someone is driving slowly or whatever.
Yeah.
I know I'm not going to get a concrete answer, so I'll accept that you both said there's usually another
pirates and commuters. Pirates. What are you talking about?
Going this route with like an FPS game and again like a co-op perspective, Robert, do you think that it allows a game to like explore areas of The Walking Dead that haven't been explored before, even if that's from this is something cool we could do from an action perspective?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's absolutely essential. I mean, I'm not going to get into any specifics here, obviously, but just because I like frustrating people. But every single iteration of The Walking Dead has to bring something new. It has to exist on its own, it has to provide its own experience, and it has to be a unique experience to the overall world of The Walking Dead. So when you sit down to play Overkill's The Walking Dead, you get something unique out of that. And, we definitely have that. I'm very excited about that. There's a lot of great new elements that are going to be added to the story here. I just can't tell you about them yet.
Okay. And I think the way we looked at the universe...
except for those pirates.
Yeah.
Except for the pirates, the way we looked at the universe was that we wanted to take it as seriously as we possibly could from the get-go. And that's why the Aden trailer looks like it looks. That's why we're making the game in Unreal, and trying to create as realistic environments as possible and as realistic of a view of Washington D.C. as we possibly can. And I think that treating The Walking Dead and the characters and everything with that kind of maturity and that level of understanding, I think will get players to get even more immersed into the experience, right? Because in the first-person shooter, you're there. It's like you're in the face of the walkers. You have to interact with them. It's not just you have to make a decision. Should I leave or should I go? You actually have to forcefully, oh my God, get away from me, and so on, right? So you're actually
deal
in there.
with it, right?
You have to deal with it, and you have to deal with your friend over there getting stomped by several walkers while you're, minding your own thing over here, right? So you have to make sure that everyone's doing well, or, you leave the others behind. That's up to you, and that's the dynamic of the kind of gameplay we're trying to do, and the universe itself. One of the reasons we thought this was such a cool idea to make together is that with our other games, we've done the games as service, right? So after the game is done, we just don't, go on to the next project.
Right.
We continue developing the game, continue to add more characters.
Well,
more
the
stuff
game
to
will
do.
evolve and the world will evolve
Together with
same
the community,
way that
yeah.
Walking Dead as a story evolves and the characters evolve,
Yeah.
which was really one of the biggest selling points, with you guys when we were first talking.
And
about
for
it.
us too, because we think there's so much value for the players to be able to not only get an experience and invest themselves in that universe, but also to be able to get new content down the line and to be able to affect that, because we always listen to the community. I think that's one of the things that I think we're the proudest of, that we listen to the community, we listen to Robert, we try to meet each other halfway.
You listen to me
and then we see
sometimes.
what we get. But
So, speaking of listening to me,
Yeah.
if this game reaches a certain level of success,
Yeah.
can we get the pirates in it eventually? Like, if the community wants it, if they get real excited about it, I'm just throwing it out there.
I would have to talk with the guy who's behind the IP, behind The Walking Dead, and we'll see what he thinks about it. I'm not sure.
He might think that's kind of a stretch. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. But I'll do my best for sure.
Actually, I was going to ask about the ongoing story, but I kind of thought that you would tell me that you weren't going to answer that question. So that's good to hear, because that also being very much a part of The Walking Dead. And next year it's kind of a big deal to Walking Dead fans.
Oh, yeah.
It might be a big deal to you. I don't know.
It's a big deal to me.
Next year?
For sure.
15 years?
15 years.
Is that like celebrating a second birthday in a way? Like
To a
Walking
certain
Dead
extent,
turns 15, yeah.
It's
A
funny
child.
too, because in some respects it seems like it's been 2 years.
Yeah.
And in other respects it seems like it's been 100 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But yeah, 15. It's going to be crazy. And at Skybound we got all kinds of great stuff planned for next year's 2018. Yeah, it's 2018. So 2018 is going to be a big year. We got all kinds of cool stuff that we're going to be rolling out throughout the year, including we're going to launch this game early. It's going to be great for the 15th anniversary. It's going to be fantastic.
Right, you heard it
Just-
here
just-
first.
I think he's
I
going
love
to
this
punch me.
smile
He's
on
going to
it.
punch me.
He might-
That is
he
the
might.
most. There's so much hatred behind that smile. It's amazing.
They might just be beeping you out at this point, just
I don't
like
think
a black bar. They're like nothing cannot be interpreted at all. Gentlemen, I think that would be a nice treat for the 15-year anniversary. No, I'm being all serious. Is that like finally we can say we get a co-op FPS in the Walking Dead universe? It only took 15 years, and then also blame it on Robert. I think.
I like that part. Blame it on Robert. No.
So
You know,
it's a compromise, and then you can have
really,
the pirates.
we've been working behind the scenes on this game for such a long time, it feels like, and it's such a great feeling to finally be able to talk about it with Robert, and next year is going to be a wild ride. And I think the Walking Dead community out there who enjoy the comics, maybe watch the TV show, have tried other games, they really have something to look forward to. And I'm really excited to show them what we've got.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah, and having watching the game develop behind the scenes and seeing every step of the way, they're doing great stuff in this time, and it's been nothing but exciting every time we get updates and every time we see cool stuff. I couldn't be more excited about this game.
And I also think it's important to say, this is for me and for us at Starbase and Overkill, this is a very unique collaboration, because we've worked as a work-for-hire developer for a long time, making other people's games. Then we made our own game in Payday, and now we have an opportunity to set the foundation and meet the right people and do the right projects the way we want to do them together. So it's a very level playing field, and I appreciate and really respect the Skybound relationship we have. Skybound for us is a great partner in making this game, and it's super valuable having you and your team helping us, create a universe and a game that really summarizes the entire Walking Dead experience in a co-op environment. Yeah.
That was very nicely said, and it's one of the reasons I have always been a big fan of Skybound. I've always respected how they look at their creators, and this is kind of no different, especially when
because
when
in our
dealing
eyes
with
it's two independents working together, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, wow, there it is, gentlemen. Thank you so much, Robert. Thank you
You
for
want a
joining
handshake
us.
too? All right.
Yeah, I do.
Feeling left out?